It was a Wednesday morning, like any other. The sun peeked lazily through the blinds, casting stripes of light across the small, cluttered apartment I called home. I rubbed my eyes and looked around at the chaos. A half-eaten bowl of cereal on the counter, my daughter's school book strewn across the couch, laundry waiting patiently to be folded. Life as a single dad was never easy. I had been on my own for over 3 years now, juggling work, bills, and the constant whirlwind of raising my little girl. Some days felt like survival more than anything else. The stress was always there, lurking like a shadow, especially when unexpected expenses came knocking or when a school call interrupted my workday. But I had learned to adapt. I had no choice. That morning, as I tied my worn-out sneakers and grabbed my daughter's backpack, I felt the familiar ache of fatigue in my shoulders. Today, however, I had promised her a special treat, a trip to the park after school. It wasn't much, but she loved the swings and the slide, and her laughter was worth more than any paycheck I had ever earned. As I stepped out of my apartment building and onto the busy city street, the air was crisp and sharp, carrying the faint scent of coffee and car exhaust. I had just begun walking toward the subway when a sudden commotion caught my attention. From across the street, I saw a woman stumble, her high heels clicking awkwardly on the pavement. She clutched her chest and collapsed onto the sidewalk. People nearby froze, unsure of what to do. Some pulled out their phones. Others whispered nervously to one another. I didn't think twice. My feet propelled me forward instinctively. I reached her side in seconds, my heart pounding. She was pale, her breaths shallow and rapid. Panic flickered across her eyes, but she tried to remain composed, clearly aware of the people watching. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" I asked firmly, crouching beside her. My hands moved to her chest, checking for a pulse. Relief washed over me when I found it, but it was rapid and weak. I can't breathe," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Hang in there," I said, steadying her. "You're going to be okay. Just breathe slowly. I'm going to help you." People were beginning to gather now, forming a hesitant circle around us. Someone shouted, "Call 911." I nodded. "Yes, please." Somebody call 911. As I kept her upright, I noticed her expensive clothing, the designer bag beside her, the faint glint of gold jewelry. I realized quickly that this was no ordinary passerby. She belonged to a world far removed from mine. But that didn't matter. Not now. Her eyes met mine, wide with fear. "Thank you," she gasped. "Thank you for helping me." I smiled reassuringly, though my own pulse was racing. "We're not done yet. Help is on the way. You're going to be fine." The ambulance arrived within minutes, paramedics rushing to take over. I stepped back, letting them work, but I stayed close, answering questions about what had happened. The woman clutched my hand briefly, a silent gesture of gratitude. Once the paramedics wheeled her into the ambulance, the crowd began to disperse, murmuring about the miraculous intervention. I finally allowed myself a deep breath and looked around. Life seemed to resume its normal rhythm around the chaos, as if nothing had happened. But then something unexpected occurred. The woman, barely stabilized in the back of the ambulance, pulled out her phone and made a call. I didn't hear what she said at first, but I could tell from the expressions of the EMTs that it wasn't a simple thank you call. Her tone was sharp, urgent, and commanding. Curiosity gnawed at me as I watched her press the phone to her ear. By the time the ambulance doors closed, she had finished the call, And though I wasn't listening in, I could sense the weight of whatever she had said. Something about that first call shocked everyone around, including me. A week later, life had returned to its usual rhythm, or at least as usual as it could be for a struggling single dad. I continued my routine, waking early, preparing breakfast for my daughter, getting her ready for school, and heading to work. But the memory of that day lingered, replaying in my mind whenever I had a quiet moment. Then, one morning, the unexpected happened. My phone rang. The number displayed was unfamiliar, but there was something about it that made me pause. After a brief hesitation, I answered. "Hello?" I said, my voice cautious. "Hi, is this Mr. Harris?" The voice on the other end was formal, almost rehearsed. "Yes, speaking. This is Miss Ellington. I believe we met last week under unusual circumstances. I wanted to thank you personally, and I'd like to discuss an opportunity with you." I nearly dropped the phone. Miss Ellington, the billionaire woman I had saved from a heart attack. My mind raced. Why would someone like her be calling me? What could she possibly want from me? Thank you, I stammered. "But I'm just glad you're okay." "No, Mr. Harris," she said, her tone firm but not unkind. "I insist. I need you to come to my office." It's important. I hesitated. My life was already full. Long hours at work, my daughter's needs, bills piling up. But something in her voice commanded attention. There was no arrogance, no hint of entitlement, just a seriousness that couldn't be ignored. "All right," I said finally. "I'll come by." The next morning, I found myself standing outside a skyscraper that seemed to touch the clouds. The lobby was vast and immaculate, gleaming marble floors reflecting the sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. I felt slightly out of place. My worn jacket and scuffed shoes, a stark contrast to the tailored suits and polished appearances around me. A receptionist directed me to the elevator, and moments later, I was on the top floor. The doors opened to reveal an office that could only be described as palatial. Expansive windows offered a breathtaking view of the city skyline. The decor was tasteful yet opulent, a subtle display of wealth without being ostentatious. And there she was, Miss Ellington, sitting behind a massive desk, her expression composed, her eyes scanning some documents. But the moment she noticed me, she stood and extended her hand. "Mr. Harris," she said, her voice warm but commanding. "Thank you again for what you did. You saved my life." I shook her hand, feeling the slight tremor in her grip. "It was nothing. I just did what anyone would have done." She smiled, but there was a weight behind it, a seriousness that made me realize this wasn't just a courtesy visit. "I don't believe that," she said softly. "I believe people who act with courage like that should be recognized." "And rewarded?" I blinked. "Rewarded? I don't understand." She motioned for me to sit. "Let me explain. After my heart attack, my doctors advised me to review my life, my priorities, and the people I allow close to me. Your actions demonstrated a character I rarely encounter, selfless, brave, and grounded. You've made an impression, Mr. Harris." I felt my cheeks flush. "I'm just a regular guy. I'm struggling, raising my daughter, trying to get by. And that's precisely why I wanted to speak with you," she said. "I run a foundation that invests in people who show extraordinary integrity. I'd like you to join our program. It's not just financial aid, it's mentorship, opportunities, guidance. We can help you stabilize your life, grow your career, and provide a better future for your daughter." I sat in stunned silence. My mind raced. This was a chance I had never imagined. A life-changing offer, extended not because of what I had, but because of who I was. And there's one more thing, she continued, leaning forward slightly. I know this might seem sudden, but I want to make it clear this is not charity. This is recognition of your courage and values. I want you to be part of something bigger. Are you willing to take the chance? I hesitated for only a moment. Then I nodded. Yes, I'm willing. The weeks that followed were transformative. I met with her advisors, attended mentorship sessions, and slowly started building a network I had never dreamed of accessing. My daughter noticed the changes too, not in terms of money, but in my confidence, my hope for the future, and my ability to provide. But even as life improved, I never forgot that morning on the street. That day had reminded me that courage doesn't come from wealth or status. It comes from ordinary people facing extraordinary circumstances and choosing to act despite fear. And sometimes, just sometimes, the universe has a way of returning the favor in ways you could never predict. One evening, as I tucked my daughter into bed, she looked up at me with wide, curious eyes. "Daddy," she said, "why did that lady call you first?" I smiled, brushing her hair back. Because sometimes, sweetie, the right person shows up at the right time. And when you do the right thing, even when no one is watching, the world notices. She grinned, curling into her blanket. I hope I'm like that when I grow up. You will be, I whispered, turning off the light. And as I closed the door, I realized that life, no matter how difficult, always leaves room for miracles. Sometimes, it just takes courage, heart, and little chance encounter to change everything. Thank you so much for watching this story till the end. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe even learned something from it. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, full of life lessons, drama, and emotions, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss an update. Your support means the world, and it helps me keep bringing you more inspiring and unforgettable stories. Stay tuned, because more amazing stories are on the way.